is a story that happened years and years ago. I don't tell many people about it as I come from a wealthy family and I've always been worried about tarnishing my family's reputation with dramatic scandals, but now, with the anonymity of the internet, I feel comfortable sharing my experience. Thus, I won't be using my real name for this account. As a younger child, I went to an elite private school into which only the rich and powerful could hope to enroll their kids. As such, I remembered quite a few kids with celebrity surnames who were supposedly the children of affluent millionaires or actors and that sort of thing. However, at the time, I couldn't care less about all that. They were just normal kids to me. All I cared about was finishing my classes so I could return home and play the newest games from Nintendo. Since I never participated in the playground elitism, I didn't have many, if any, friends at that school. But obviously, there wouldn't be a story here if there wasn't some exception. There was one kid who was also quiet and reserved while in class, and for that reason, we gravitated towards each other. Everyone called him Blanket. I thought it was his real legal name, but I've since found out that it was just a nickname. Anyway, him and I got along pretty well as we shared a very similar experience interacting with the rest of our classmates. We were the weird ones, to put it plainly. After we met, it wasn't long before he invited me over to his house. I told Blanket that I would have to get permission from my parents first, but they were so excited about the fact that I was finally making friends that it was easy to convince them. The next day, after school, Blanket and I met outside of school. We only waited for about a minute before we were picked up by his very own limousine that drove us directly to his house. I was astonished when I stepped out. His house was more than just a mansion. It was a whole tiny city with a wide expanse of grassy hills surrounding a structure that was more like a castle than a house. And just over the stony peaks, I could see that there was some kind of private amusement park in the background, with a Ferris wheel and everything. Welcome to my ranch. It's pretty nice, isn't it? That's an understatement. Is your dad famous or something? It's supposed to be sort of a secret, but my dad is Michael Jackson. Don't tell anyone, okay? Okay, yeah, I've heard of him. Is he here? No, he's gone for the weekend. He took the private jet out to go get a fancy dinner in Paris or something. You don't seem too excited. Is something wrong? You don't hate my dad, do you? Of course not, dude. I didn't mean to be nosy, but is the rumor about your dad's nose real?
Shut up! It's none of your damn business, so beat it!
Whoa, I'm sorry, dude. How about we watch a movie? I was intrigued to watch a film at their house, and of course, they had a home movie theater. It was the size of a regular movie theater, except the whole thing was ours to control. Before we knew it, we'd watched at least 3 movies, and even though there wasn't a clock around or even any windows, I knew it had to be past my usual bedtime. But, of course, we were unchaperoned, so it didn't matter. That's when Blanket turned to me and said, "Hey, Billy, do you want to play hide and seek in the house?" Hell yeah. Alright, let's play rock, paper, scissors to find out who's it. Blanket won best 2 out of 3, which meant I had to be the one who looked for him. Admittedly, I was a little worried as I felt I was at a disadvantage. I was barely able to find my way through the halls while Blanket had lived there his whole life and knew every nook and cranny. But I'd lost fair and square, so I closed my eyes and counted down from 10, and when I opened my eyes, he was gone. I left the movie theater and began walking through the plethora of hallways and foyers and stairways of the mansion. I was immediately lost, and I knew I was never going to find Blanket. It was literally like searching for a needle in a haystack. Still, I hoped that Blanket would take it easy on me. So, I continued to walk carefully through the maze. Eventually, I came across the longest hallway I'd ever seen. It was the size of a mall aisle, one of the main drags where the stores are lined up, but it was far narrower, like an old hotel, and every door I opened led straight into an empty bedroom. There must have been a dozen bedrooms in that one hallway. Then, I heard a strange voice laughing all the way from the end of the hall. Hello? Blanket, are you down here?
No. I knew you'd be arriving eventually, Billie Jean. How are you liking Neverland?
You mean the castle? I mean, it's pretty cool, I guess, but if you're not Blanket, who are you?
Oh, Billy, you know that I am the one.
Blanket, this isn't funny.
Aren't we playing hide and seek? Come and find me, Billy.
I was terribly confused. I knew this had to be Blanket because they knew my name in the game we were playing, and Blanket said we were alone, but the voice sounded nothing like him. By then, I knew I had to find out, and I'd already discerned where the voice was coming from. At the very end of the hallway was a slender door that faced straight at me. It either had to be a closet or some kind of penthouse room. I quietly approached the door and opened it slowly. Inside, it was pure darkness, but I could feel the cramped stuffiness of the air. and knew it had to be some kind of linen closet.
I guess you found me. Now, I'll tell you my secret. I'm Michael Jackson. Wanna shake my hand?
Michael Jackson? But you're not supposed to be here.
I came back from Paris just to meet you, Billie Jean. Now,
Come on now.
woo! Shake my hand and prove that you're my lover.
I couldn't even see him. All the lights were off, and that closet absorbed light like a black hole. But I could feel the presence of a person in there. Reluctantly, I reached out my hand and eased it into the darkness. I grabbed onto what I thought was a hand, but as I began to shake it, something went wrong. Whatever I was holding on to suddenly fell off. I clenched my fist and jerked back my hand just to look down and see a bloody nose. All of a sudden, he jumped out of the shadows, and there he was, Michael Jackson in the flesh, but with no nose. Blood was gushing from his face as he screamed.
Well, I guess I'm it, so it's time for me to get you!
Then, he lunged at me, but I jumped back and began to run back down the hallway at top speed. Every time I looked over my shoulder, I saw him chasing after me like a maniac. I was so lost in the house that I ran down so many corners, but he kept following me and wouldn't let me get any space.
I'm gonna make you my son and call you Pillow!
Finally, I found the door to the backyard and to the amusement park. Panicking, I jumped into the cart of the Ferris wheel, which was somehow operating on its own, and rode it to the top while crouched down inside. When I got to the top, I peeked over the edge and saw Michael Jackson down in the yard, looking everywhere.
Oh, where the hell is my nose? I'll get you eventually, you little smooth criminal!
I crouched back down. I heard him go back inside, so when I reached the bottom, I jumped out, threw the nose in the backyard, and then ran away. When I finally reached the street, I managed to flag down a cab by a divine stroke of luck. They were already carrying a fare, but they took pity on a scared kid and drove me home free of charge after dropping off the other person. I didn't tell them anything, but I thanked them for helping me out. I snuck back into my house and started spinning a web of lies to tell my parents. Obviously, I never spoke to Blanket again, and since I was back down to having no friends, I asked my parents to enroll me in public school to get away from him. He just looked too much like his father.